and joining us today at 4:15. Now, here is a few things that Brian Etheridge, who's one of our partners, had put up, and he's been all into this realignment thing and doing a lot of his sourcing and all whatever. We know about Colorado's board is going to meet again on Wednesday and probably discuss the Pac-12, whatever news they've gotten back on the Pac-12 network or contract. They will meet tomorrow. Right now, he's saying that ESPN is the only media member, and he's not the only one that's bidding in any way during this window with the Pac-12. Meanwhile, we've had Jason Scheer on talking about Arizona, and who knows what Arizona, Utah, Arizona State, among others, are going to do. Now, late yesterday evening, as I was about to crash, Craig, Paul, we have a three-way text thread, and Craig threw up a text about, well, it was about the merger. Here the story is, the Big 12 merger with anything Pac-12, which I never thought had any chance just because of the personalities, the egos, and all the background, that's dead. It's dead man walking. I never thought that would happen. We're going to get into some reaction to that, but your reaction, you guys, about that at least, it appears maybe the Big 12 said, hey, let's talk. Didn't work out. We're done.
Well, I don't think it was ever going to happen because it doesn't make any sense to merge the leagues in the way that people were talking about. And short of, some sort of, knowing what the playoff would be, and that would make sense. I just never saw it working. Plus, I don't know what either side brings to each other as a complete entity when it would probably be better for one or the other to raid the other one and get the best parts of it for its own product as opposed to trying to reinvent the wheel like they're doing. I do think it's something you have to say you did because if there was a good idea in there, at least you said you broached it, but I don't think it was ever feasible that the Pac-12 and Big 12 would merge.
Yeah, I never bought on a full merger because it just never made any sense. I don't know why you would scramble to put together 20-plus teams who apparently don't have the value that's going to add up to anything when you can just stay pat and make better money. If we're going to keep talking about money is what matters, then why do people use non-money reasons for why things are happening and try to, I can't believe that this happened? Well, are you not the same person that just said in your article that money is driving the full thing? So how are you surprised that a 24-team or whatever, Pac, Big 12, whatever, that would all have everyone making less money, most likely would not be favorable or something that the Big 12 in particular would want to pursue? It's very clear the Pac is a little bit weaker than the Big 12. To what degree you want to argue that, have at it. I don't really care. But I think it's pretty clear the Pac-12 is in a weaker spot than the Big 12 is currently. And I think the Big 12 looked at it and looked at what the possibilities were. And as we saw in that article that was released last night, at least the one by Pete Thamel, as late last week, they are having open discussions. And it certainly seems like they were entertaining the idea. And then at some point, the Big 12 realized, hey, this would just drive down all of our values. We'd make, again, less money if we just all came together. So let's find a different avenue. And I think that different avenue is the Big 12 is going to potentially try and pick off some Pac-12 teams. I'm sure the Pac-12 is going to try and stay together as best they can. I think the wild card here is Notre Dame because of just where they fit in the grand scheme of things. Whatever move they make is going to have repercussions, even if they just stay in the same spot. That's going to have repercussions because it's going to close some doors that otherwise might right now feel like they're open to the Big 12 or to an Oregon or to a Washington or to a Stanford. So I think it's no surprise at all because to me, as much as, get everybody together and you've got West Coast to the Midwest and you've got money-wise, everybody's making less, most likely, based on what we know. And so that's just as simple as it gets to me. And, I also think the other part of it is why rush into some big, huge 20-plus team conference when there's still other dominoes to drop? So, if the ACC fizzles out and falls apart, let's just say that were to happen, because who knows? Who the heck knows? Nobody was predicting what we're talking about right now necessarily the way that we're talking about it. Can you go and then add, are you going to have a 30-team conference? Are you, where does it stop? Well, yeah, and would you rather have, I don't know, Duke basketball to be able to add into the fold, or someone over on the East Coast that can get you closer to West Virginia and Cincinnati and more eyeballs and more spread out? Or would you rather just fill up with the cows of the world. I know what I'd rather do. I'd rather sit and wait and see what happens and grab what I can while I can, and I think that's what the Big 12's doing.
I just think that in most people who are trying to, all our realignment heads that love our show and watch it and would do all these things, if you sat down and asked them, okay, if it comes down to you can add Washington State or you can add NC State, yeah, you're probably going to pick NC State in that gig. If you can add Oregon State or you can add Virginia, you're going to add Virginia. Now, those are all not realistic options right now, but they're not realistic, especially if you have 22 teams that you just said, let's just smash these together and see what happens.
It's a lot more realistic, at least today, that if you add anybody, it would be from the West, a part of the Pac-12, depending on what else they learn themselves in the next few days or years, because we've been over the ACC thing and the grant of rights. And Craig and I discussed it yesterday. Great feedback for about 20 minutes or so.